Iran's protests are ebbing away, dispersed here with tear gas, elsewhere with bullets, as Donald Trump calculates what his promise of help looks like in reality and what he wants to achieve. Last week he said the US was locked and loaded and ready to help protesters. Tonight he sounded less bellicose.
We have been informed by very important sources on the other side, and they've said the killing has stopped and the executions won't take place. There were supposed to be a lot of executions today, and that the executions won't take place. And we're going to find out. I mean, I'll find out after this. You'll find out. But we've been told on good authority, and I hope it's true. Who knows, right? Who knows?
One of those due to be executed is Irfan Soltani. The authorities had vowed to execute quickly to ensure their deterrent message is clear. His family will be hoping Trump's words act as a deterrent to them. For some, however, it is already too late. Mojtaba Tershiz was the former captain of Tractor Football Club in Tehran. He was a father of 2 girls. It's thought his wife was also killed. Nurse Mansouri Haidari and her husband Behruz Mansouri were killed on January the 8th. Their 2 children are now orphaned. 17-year-old Rebin Maradi was a keen footballer from childhood. He too died in Tehran. They are among the more than 2,000 now confirmed dead, a figure that will likely rise. Tonight, the Iranian foreign minister blamed the high death toll on foreign agitators within the protesters.
They wanted to increase the number of deaths. Why? Because President Trump has said that if there are killings, he would intervene. And they wanted to drag him into this conflict. And that was exactly an Israeli plot.
With an internet and phone blackout, it's been difficult to gather first-hand descriptions of what's gone on. Today, we spoke with one man who was part of the protests and has now left Iran for Germany.
The shooting we heard, it was constant, like a 1 hour, boom, boom, boom.
When his friend was killed, he went to retrieve her body and found thousands of others doing the same.
I saw thousands of people, the families, which they're running to find the dead bodies. And I saw 3 large trucks with the refrigerator, and they were heading to these 2 warehouses. We could see what is inside. 3 layers of the bodies, which they were in the zipper, in black zippers, on top of each other. They were rolling and throwing the bodies inside the warehouse. I can tell you it was between 1,500, 1,700, up to 2,000 something in each warehouses.
In both of the warehouses?
Yeah. They were coming continuously. I saw small bags, and I realized that there were many, many children there.
And you think those small bags contain children who'd gone with their parents?
For sure, yeah, for sure. There were children like 10 years old, like 12 years old. I saw a mother who laid on her boy's body, and she was shouting that, "Don't touch it, this is my boy."
It's still not clear whether President Trump will strike Iran, or whether this time he will seek change through diplomacy, not force. Emma Murphy, News at 10.
And let's speak to Dan in Washington now. I mean, I don't know, Dan, if you could hear the voices in Emma's report. They're shocking accounts of the number of bodies piling up in Iran. And yet Donald Trump is saying something very different tonight. Is military action off the table, do you think? Is that how you read it?
Well, look, the White House is constantly sort of reminding us that no options are off the table, and throughout this sort of crisis, these protests in Iran, that is a refrain they have come back to. But certainly tonight, there's been a distinct change in tone, hasn't there, from the president, from saying help is on the way to now saying that basically. He thinks the killing is stopping, and actually suggesting that there was sort of shooting going on both sides. It sort of almost reminded me of what he said about the far-right rally in Charlottesville in 2017, when he said there were very fine people on both sides. I think one of the other things to look at is actually, what is the American military posture telling us? And we haven't seen huge sort of movements of aircraft into the theatre, into the Gulf, and we haven't seen naval assets either. In fact, we've seen some planes leaving. It's very difficult to know whether this is a bluff by Donald Trump or if he's trying to give himself an off-ramp. But I think one of the big indicators we look at is the price of oil, and certainly the markets feel the risk has diminished. The price of oil fell very sharply just after he spoke in the Oval Office.
One person who has first-hand experience of the Iranian regime is Anousheh Ashuri. The British-Iranian businessman spent 6 years in the notorious Evan prison in Tehran, accused of spying. He was released alongside Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe in 2022. But nearly 4 years on, Anousheh tells Laura Jones he is still haunted by the memories.
We were leading a happy life like any retired person. Because my mom lived in Iran on her own, I used to go and visit her 2 or 3 times a year. This time I was going back because she was recovering from a knee operation, and I had no reason not to go. So like all the other previous times I went, and unfortunately I was abducted in the streets of Tehran.
The 13th of August 2017. That was the day your life changed forever. But what did life look like in the run-up to that day?
I was going to the local market to have the zipper of my suitcase repaired. And as soon as I arrived at the foot of the hill where my mom lives, a car pulled over and 4 strongmen came out. They made sure that I was Anousheh Ashuri. And they manhandled me into the back of the car. 2 people sat next to me, and the driver and the person next to the driver, and we took off in one of the motorways towards east of Tehran. A few minutes later, the man next to the driver turned around and gave me a piece of paper and said, "Read this." He didn't allow me to read it completely, but on the top, the title was the Counter-Espionage Department of the Ministry of Intelligence. It was the warrant for my arrest. And as soon as I read the title, he grabbed it from me, and they said there is a blindfold in the back seat of the seat in front of me. They told me to put it on and lay my head on the lap of the person next to my left. So I could hear the traffic, but I couldn't see anything. And then I realized that we are leaving the traffic because the sound of the traffic was diminishing, until we arrived at a place. All that I think it was in a yard of a private house, and they took me out and they ushered me blindfolded into a room, and then I was told that I could take my blindfold off, and I saw 3 men sitting there. One of them was the chief interrogator of that group, and my ordeal started from there. When I was briefly interrogated there, I was taken to my mom's apartment. They dismantled the desktop, they took the hard drive out, they took my laptop, they took my British and my Iranian passport, and a little money that I had, together with other belongings. And from there we headed to Evin prison, but not to the main prison compound, because the Ministry of Intelligence has got its own interrogation center. It is called Interrogation Center 209, within the perimeters of, like the IRGC. And I was dumped in a cell 52, and I was there for nearly 100 days. At the beginning, they used to bring prints of the pictures of my children and my wife, and the interrogator would, because I was sitting on a college chair facing the wall, so I used to receive them from my interrogator, and they would say, "Look, this is the last time you see, for example, your son or your daughter, the picture of them alive. The next picture we bring you will be the picture of their corpses, one by one." So you really the fear gets into every cell of your system. And that is how they try to use these leverages so that they can make you submit to them and do the things that they want you to do. The physical part of it, I mean, I wasn't tortured physically, but they take you to the point where you would inflict those physical harms to yourself. Like I ended up reasoning that if I could kill myself, everybody else would be safe. So they have been clever enough. But then when I went back to the main prison compound, then I met many cellmates who were physically tortured. Some had lost their teeth, some had broken arms. But I think it depends on the level of interrogations that they think is fit for that particular case. Yes. They were very harsh. Living conditions were very bad. I had a floodlight over my head 24/7, substandard food, long hours of interrogation, threats about killing my family members if I did not cooperate. At one point in time, you see, you reach the level of your threshold where you cannot take it any longer. And then because of those sleep deprivations, you end up believing whatever they tell you. So you buy whatever they are selling. And I believed that they were going to harm my family members because they were giving signs that I would believe, like what my daughter was doing, what my wife was doing in our house. So I reached a point that I reasoned with myself that in order to eradicate any threats against their safety, then I would perhaps not be. Therefore, I ended up with 3 suicide attempts. Luckily, I survived, but I lost 17 kilograms. And that is when I was sent to the interrogation center run by the IRGC. So these are just a few of the bedbugs that we were living with, and they have really nasty stings. And especially with people with diabetes, they turn into infection, and there is no sanitation. Medical care is almost non-existent in Evin prison. So just imagine how to deal with for 10 years, for 15 years. And these are the cockroaches that I managed to smuggle out. And I actually put them on display in an exhibition in Hoxton, which was arranged by Amnesty International. So this is what we were living with.
And having that present all around you, just adding to
Yeah,
that feeling
yeah.
of discomfort.
Yeah, just imagine you are on your bunk bed, you are asleep in the middle of the night, although there is always a light there, and you suddenly feel something walking on the back of your neck, and one of them turns out to be one of these huge cockroaches. And that is not once or twice, so yeah. And of course the rats I couldn't bring with myself, but we were living with rats as well. I was hoping that after nearly now 4 years past my release, I would be in a much better mental state, but unfortunately flashbacks are there, anxiety attacks are there, nightmares are there, with different scenarios with my roommates, cellmates, and also not only I was affected, my family members are. So my son is going through trauma therapy, and my wife also. So we have received a lot of support that we expected from the government. We received it from Hostage International, who have been fantastic in providing us with all those helps. The solidarity when I was in Evin prison is one story. The solidarity of my family and Richard and Nazanin and that family. In fact, the Foreign Office was trying to create this divide so that families would not see each other, so that they would not unite. But they were clever enough to contact each other. That's why when my daughter started making that documentary at her place, making chocolates and things with Gabriela, and this unity was really great and was a great help for both of us to make ourselves better seen in the media. The solidarity in Evin prison is another story, that because all of us were in the same situation, many of us actually were giving moral support to each other. And we created ways of how to fight insanity. Many of them were highly educated, very intelligent, so we decided to exchange knowledge between. Somebody was an economist, so they would teach us economics, and I myself created a poetry society, and we were quite a few of us, and other societies. And I took on physical exercises. Running was one of them that I ended up running the London Marathon. So we had to fill our hours from 6 o'clock in the morning to 12 o'clock at night, otherwise you would go mad.
What concrete action would you like to see from the UK government now?
The UK government has been so passive that I'm so disappointed, not only about the dual nationals who were left behind because after Nazanin and I were released. They are still there, and they are British Iranian dual nationals. I'm not at liberty to mention names, but not only that, especially during these times of oppression, that many are being massacred. All the morgues are full. I don't know what the British government is doing. What do they envisage? What type of normal relationship are they going to have with a government, with a state which is a terrorist state? They are murderers. They are terrorists. I mean, what do they hope they would achieve by not doing anything? This inaction is really disappointing. And I really hope that they will. I mean, the least they can do. I heard that in the EU they have stopped allowing the Islamic regime's diplomats enter the building. Why don't you? Why do you still have an embassy? What are you hoping for? Close it. Cut all ties with this tyrannical regime, and let them know that they are isolated. Let them know that there is no hope in the future for a relationship with the UK, which is built on mass graves. I have my hopes and I have my worries. My hope is that hopefully very soon this regime would fall. My fear is that what is going to come next, because to my belief, because Iran is not it doesn't consist of just one faction. There are so many other factions. They should be allowed to form their own parties and compete in a civilized and peaceful manner, like in Britain, like in Australia, like in New Zealand, like in Canada, so that they can build the country on its ruins. But everybody would participate, not that it would, again, the power would be concentrated in the hand of one person. That very soon we would expect another supreme leader, and then we would expect prisons to be filled again, and we would wait another 40, 50 years for that to be toppled. This is what I don't want.
Do you ever see a future in which you may go back to Iran?
I hope so, but it's too early to speculate, because that goes back to my fear that are these different factions, will they be able to tolerate each other peacefully, or is there going to be conflicts after conflicts, which is going to be devastating? So my hope is that we can have a democracy at least once in history, that we can build our country on that.